There are things an avoidant will never tell you, not because they are dishonest, not because they do not feel them, but because the feelings arrive after the moment has passed, after the relationship has ended, after the distance they created became permanent in a way they did not fully anticipate when they were creating it. And by the time the feelings are clear enough to name, the person they would say them to is no longer there to hear them. So I am going to say them here. Not as speculation, not as a generalization about a category of people, but as an honest account of what I know from the inside, what I felt after the relationships I let slip away, what I have come to understand about the interior experience of an avoidant in the months and years after someone they genuinely loved is gone. The first thing is a specific kind of missing that does not behave like ordinary missing. With ordinary missing, the absence is felt most sharply in the big moments, the milestones, the occasions that would have been shared. The avoidant feels that too. But the missing that runs deepest is in the small ones. The ordinary Tuesday evening that has no particular shape to it. The Sunday morning with too much quiet in it. The moment something funny happens and the instinct to share it fires before the memory catches up. The specific way a certain kind of light looks in autumn that you had once said something about, and that now every autumn brings back with a precision that feels almost cruel. That is the missing that does not go away cleanly, because it is not attached to the big things you can prepare yourself for. It lives in the texture of ordinary life, and ordinary life does not stop happening. The second thing is regret that arrives too late and knows it. This is different from ordinary regret. Ordinary regret carries with it at least the theoretical possibility of correction. You did something wrong, and you could do it differently. You missed something and you could go back. The regret an avoidant carries after a genuine loss has a different quality. It is not the regret of a single decision. It is the regret of a pattern, of 1,000 small moments where they chose distance over presence, protection over vulnerability, the familiar safety of withdrawal over the terrifying possibility of being fully in something. And patterns do not have a single moment you can identify and correct. They have a history, a long, quietly accumulated history of choices that felt reasonable individually and looked devastating in retrospect. I remember going back through my own history after Claire, not looking for the moment I got it wrong, looking at the whole shape of it, the way the distance had been present from almost the beginning, managed so automatically I had not even noticed I was doing it. The way every time she had reached for something real, I had offered her something slightly less than real in return. Slightly more managed, slightly more composed, slightly further back from the edge of genuine vulnerability. And I remember feeling something that I do not have a clean word for. It was not guilt exactly. Guilt implies a clear wrong that can be apologized for. It was more like grief for the version of the relationship that could have existed if I had been capable of showing up for it fully. Grief for what she deserved and did not get. Grief for what I had felt and never properly expressed. Grief for the intimacy I had kept at arm's length so successfully that it eventually found somewhere else to go. The third thing is a strange, reluctant gratitude. This one surprised me when I noticed it. After enough time, after the grief had done some of its work, I found something underneath it that felt like gratitude. Not the easy kind, not the kind you can say out loud without it sounding like a rationalization, but a genuine appreciation for what the relationship had asked of me, even what it had broken open, even the painful clarity that came in its aftermath, because the loss was the thing that finally made the pattern visible in a way nothing else had managed to. She could not make me see it while she was there. The defenses were too active. The pattern had too many ways to explain itself away. But her absence created the conditions where seeing it became unavoidable. And that seeing, however late it arrived, changed something permanently. The fourth thing is the awareness of what they could not say while you were there. This is perhaps the most painful one, because the avoidant did feel things during the relationship. Real, significant things. They felt the warmth of being known by you. They felt the specific comfort of your presence, even if they could never say so directly. They felt something settle in them when you were nearby that did not settle the same way when you were not. They just could not let those feelings be visible, could not let them be said, could not let them land fully even in their own interior experience, because feeling them fully would have meant admitting how much they needed something. And need, for an avoidant, has always been the most dangerous admission of all. So the feelings went unexpressed. They were real, and they were silent, and they accumulated in the quiet underneath all the distance. And after you were gone, in the stillness of not having you to manage any feelings about, those feelings finally surfaced. Too late to be useful, too real to be ignored. The fifth thing is the question that does not go away. Not whether they made a mistake. Most avoidants who genuinely loved someone know, eventually, that they did. The question that stays is harder than that. It is the question of whether they would do it differently if they could. And the honest answer, the one that costs something to look at directly, is that they are not sure. Because the pattern was not a choice. It was a survival strategy built so early and so thoroughly into the architecture of who they are, that choosing differently would have required being a different person than they were at the time. And knowing that does not make the loss smaller. It makes it more complete. Because it means the relationship was not lost to a single bad decision that could have gone another way. It was lost to a version of themselves they had not yet become. The version that is sitting here now, in the quiet after everything, finally able to feel what they could not feel then. Finally able to say, to no one in particular, in the silence where you used to be, I knew what you were worth. I just did not know how to stay.